So giving your employees the tools, like you said, the people near where you live, they're saying like, I don't know what to make of it. I'm trying to understand it, and helping them have the tools to process and communicate more effectively. What are some tools in general that you think that the next generation of leaders are really going to need going forward in the world that is emerging right now?
Yeah, so it's the ability to transform. It's the ability to recognize what you may be learning in your MBA program may be sufficient for today, but recognizing that you got to stay on top of it. You got to recognize that as the Gen Z generation is starting to get in the workforce, there's a good chance you're going to be working with the generation that comes behind Gen Zs. And how are you positioned to do that? Which is why when we do a lot of one-on-one executive type coaching, we talk about the importance of coaching, the importance of mentorship of their staff, and the importance of being authentic. Because if you really want what's in the best interest of your employees, and you recognize that you may not have all the answers, that you're going to be able to transform in time. If you put down your coffee cup, as the old vision of the old manager, if you put down your coffee cup and say, "I know it all, kid, you're 19 years old, you just got out of college," which would be an awesome feat being 19 right out of college. But let's just say you just got right out of college. Sit back and learn. How's that new employee going to respond when we know that they want to be part of the conversation? So the new leaders that are going to be successful are going to find ways for all employees to be part of the discussion, and recognize that their opinion should matter in coming up with a new design, coming up with a new process. And it's interesting when we go in and we meet with some businesses, we hear from some of the employees about what some of the struggles are. And sometimes it's innovation. And then it's even more amazing that 6, 8 months down the road, that company is struggling because now they haven't evolved and now they're just finding it out. But if they would have taken the time to just sit back and listen to their employees, um, it could keep them out of bankruptcy.
I think a lot of the tools that you shared can help with that to help avoid those uh, difficult scenarios from occurring, which goes all the way back to scenario planning and the what ifs and risk reduction and things like that. Communication, conversations are a huge part of leadership. Matt, can you tell us what is, on a personal level, can you think of a conversation that you may have had that had perhaps the most significant impact on your life, either personally or professionally?
It's very interesting that you ask that. And when I've been asked that question in the past, the first scenario always pops up, or the first discussion always pops up. When I was 18 years old, I had a mentor, and I just got into a public sector and position. And um, that supervisor asked me, he goes, "Where do you want to be in 20 years?" And I said, "I want to be a leader." I just got out of 4-H. I was doing things on a state level, and helping things on a national level to help the organization grow, and I want to do that here. And his comment was, take the time to learn how to be an employee. Take the time to figure out what the employees want, because if you take the time to understand that, you're going to become a stronger leader at the end. And now that I look 20 years back, that was very insightful discussions, because had the opportunity to get involved with a union, which I didn't know much about a union at that time. Had the opportunity to hear concerns that were expressed from like a management employee's vision. So that now that I'm in the field that I am in, I could talk about both sides. I could talk about what it's like to be that employee that may not have had a college education at that point. And now I can communicate with CFOs and CEOs that may have graduated from Harvard, from my doctoral side, and other experiences. So I think it's just taking that time to understand um, the other points, the other reference points, so that you can help them in the long run.
Fantastic. That's great advice. Got to learn how to follow before you can learn how to lead. That's amazing.
Right.
What is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you, stay in touch with you, and find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So always open up for discussions. Feel free to get a hold of me on LinkedIn is a good way from connecting that way. Um, Another way to get a hold of me is through our consulting service. We just opened up a new consulting business in June. It's called Morph Advisors. So we transitioned from High Horizon to Morph Advisors just recently. And part of that is um, we are working with my co-founder is truly in the millennial range and experiences, and he brings a whole different insight to our consulting service. So that's www.morphadvisors.com. So that's why we call it Morph Advisors. Or you can get a hold of me at mhurtienne at morphadvisors.com.
Fantastic. Dr. Matt, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Take care, John.
Wonderful. And for all of you listening, thank you so much for being here and joining us on Key Conversations for Leaders. Until next time, develop yourself, empower others, and lead by example.